Welcome to Real Men Wear Kills TV, Husker Football Edition. This is Patrick Joy. Um, Talking Nebraska versus Northern Iowa pregame show. Nebraska, for the first time in 11 years, has had 2-0 start. And for the first time in, I just read it, for the first time in 5 years and 7 days, Nebraska will take the field with a AP top 25 number next to its name. Nebraska is currently ranked 23rd in the country according to the AP poll, and they will be facing a FCS opponent who is ranked 21st in the FCS, Northern Iowa. The current spread on the game is Nebraska is favored at 29.5 points, with the over-under at 47.5. So let's talk Northern Iowa for a second here. They're an FCS team. They're top 25 FCS team. They primarily have a rushing offense, and they're a decent FCS team. That's about all I could find on them. Their coach made some comments in an article here. He said, "The thing I'm watching about Nebraska right now is the attitude of their team, how they're playing versus maybe a couple of years ago. Everybody knows you got tradition. Hell, we got tradition. You watch the defense, and the defense is tough, strong, and fast. That's a hard combination. That's why they only gave up 16 rushing yards last week. I think they're fifth in rushing defense across the country. Um, that's not really good news for Northern Iowa. They are, according to Zargo off of CBS Sports, they stacked up 597 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground their first 2 games. Um, you know, they're primarily rushing offense here. So with Nebraska being one of the best rushing defenses in the country, it's going to be a tough battle for Northern Iowa. Looking at Nebraska again, we're ranked 23rd in the country. I know my last video maybe seemed a little down about how Nebraska's performance against Colorado. I've had some time to process the game. I've had some time to listen to what others are saying about it, think back on how the game went. Nebraska actually did really good last weekend. We won. We, the players got out there and they got the job done. That is something that we haven't seen in a long time. And it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling as far as that goes. Um, it's a good feeling to start out the season 2-0. It's a good feeling to see things clicking within the team, to see the players actually getting out there, getting the job done, see a coach who's getting the players to get out there and get the job done. And, I'm starting to rethink some of the games that I did my preseason prediction, and I said, nah, it's probably going to be a loss. Whatnot. Those games that I thought were probably going to be a loss, now I'm kind of wondering, are they going to be a loss? Or are they going to be yet another win? At this point, the way the team's performing, there really isn't a game on the schedule that I'm really all that worried about the team winning. For now, sticking with my preseason predictions, though I can see that changing. The only game that was going to be really that tough for Nebraska is when we take on Ohio State in Ohio. They got a great atmosphere there for as far as home team advantage. Ohio State, looking ahead, that one I think it's winnable, but we'll see. As far as this week's game, I got us at 49-7. I got us winning 49-7. And yeah, that's bigger than the spread, but there's a reason why it's bigger than the spread. I think Nebraska's better than what the spread indicates. But I still feel like I'm being conservative with that number. I think Nebraska could potentially score quite a bit more, especially against an FCS opponent, the way they've been performing against FBS opponents. I'm really excited about this season. I really am, and I'm trying to keep my emotions in check with it and whatnot. But I am really excited about this team. I'm really excited about this season. I think it's not unreasonable to see Nebraska at 13th or 14th, maybe even 12th, 11th. Going into the end of the season. I mean, at this point, just making a bowl game is starting to feel like the bare minimum. The way the team's performing early on. We got a lot of football left to play, so that could that expectation could definitely change. I put us at 10-win ceiling at the beginning of the season. Before the season started. Honestly, a 12-win season isn't unreasonable at this point for a ceiling. This season really could be that comeback season. I mean, the way the team is performing amazing right now. I mean, we got a young true freshman quarterback who looks like he's been playing. He looks like he's a senior with how he plays and with what he does. We got an O-line that is just rocking and rolling. We got defense that's rocking and rolling. We got receivers that are doing an amazing job. We got running backs that are doing an amazing job. Even our special teams is doing pretty good too. So a lot of the issues that we've been plagued with seem to be going away. So yeah, 49-7, I can see it. I can see us doing better than that. I can see, 56-7 or 49-0 or 56-0 against this team that we're playing up against. When Northern Iowa does score, I think it's going to be late in the game when our third and fourth string players are out there getting some play time, getting a little bit of experience. I expect this to be a dominant performance. I really do. I really think this is going to be an incredibly dominant, performance. And, if it's not a blowout, like I said, I see maybe one touchdown from Northern Iowa, maybe only a field goal. I really don't know as far as that goes. I think it's going to be a great game to watch. I think it's going to be a big confidence booster. I think it's going to be a good reset game for the Huskers. And, just kind of a game to get the team really feeling good about themselves. 3-0 starting out. And then, after Northern Iowa on the 20th, we have Illinois. I think we're going to win that one. Purdue, I predicted to be a loss preseason. Not so sure about that. I really ain't. I'm starting to rethink Purdue as maybe a win. I can see us beating Rutgers. Indiana, I see being a win. So we could potentially start out. We could potentially start out 7-0. I mean, honestly, or 6-1. Either way, that's great. Especially going into Ohio State, we're gonna have going. I predict right now, like you can quote me, going into Ohio State, we are going to have a ton of momentum. Ohio State, I think it's going to be close. It's going to be ugly. I see us beating UCLA after that. USC, I had that as a loss as well. I'm really not sure if we're going to. I'm not so sure about that loss either. Wisconsin, I think I had as a win. I think, Iowa, I marked as a loss, but again, really the only game on this schedule that I'm even remotely worried about the way the team is performing is Ohio State. In Ohio State. Looking at the schedule, looking at the way the team's performing, really rethinking what the team has been doing. Ohio State's really the only one I'm worried about. I'm not all that worried about either. I think we could possibly win that one at this point. Like, I'm sticking with my preseason predictions right now, but the games I said we'd lose, I'm starting to wonder about them. Just the way the team is working. Like I said, coming into Ohio State, we could be 6-1 or 7-0. And if we're 7-0, that bodes pretty well for Nebraska. That really does. As that's going to be a ton of momentum. Even at 6-1, that's still a ton of momentum going into Ohio State. And if we beat Ohio State, we're looking at potentially an undefeated season, which means playoff bid, which means who knows. It's going to be there's something special about this team this year. I don't think anyone can deny that. I don't think anyone can say otherwise. Because at the beginning of the season, I had Purdue, Ohio State, USC, and Iowa marked as losses. Iowa, yeah, they're not really impressing much this year. Purdue, they're not really impressing that much either. Same thing with USC. Ohio State looks good, but Ohio State always looks good. There's something about this team this year. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid yet, but it's definitely been poured into the glass, and it's definitely sitting in front of me. I think this is going to be in a positive way, an unusual Matt Rule year 2. And like I said, just making a bowl game, it's. I know I put that as the floor for this season. 6 wins as the floor for this season. That just seems low at this point. It really does. Even the ceiling I put at 10 wins seems low. This could be Nebraska's year. It really, really, really could be. Realistically, the way the team is performing. And what it is it's getting the right players in, getting them to play well together, correcting the issues. So you look at last week, Colorado. One of the comments I made was damn penalties. But looking back at some of those penalties and whatnot, they were kind of questionable. They were kind of questionable, penalties on, as far as the call the refs made. It makes you kind of wonder, was that really the right call? Even Matt Rule at the post-game press conference made some comments. He didn't go into details, but he did make a mention about being Big 12 refs. But like I said, this week, I got Nebraska 49, Northern Iowa 7. And this is gonna prove something that I was talking about between Nebraska and Colorado. When I did the pre-show for Nebraska, Colorado, I mentioned that, Colorado barely survived their FCS opponent. The top 21, the top 25 in the FCS, they're similar playing level as teams like UTEP, who's at the bottom of the FBS. If we go out and dominate Northern Iowa the way I think we're going to, the way I feel we're going to, that's just going to further prove that we're the better team and that Matt Rule is a better coach than Deion Sanders is. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great game tomorrow night. Prime time. Should be a lot of fun to watch. It's always fun when you see the Huskers playing and they're doing really well. Like I said, I'm excited. Anyways, that's all I got for y'all right now. I'll make a video after the game. We'll see how close my prediction is. Like I said, I can reasonably predict 49-7, but I can also reasonably see Nebraska scoring a lot more and Northern Iowa being held to just a field goal for the game or even being completely shut out. Just the way this team is performing. With that, go Big Red, and catch y'all tomorrow after the game.